Hey everybody, Matt here for AVC and welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be installing our utility cabinet system in our Ford Transit, and if you missed our assembly video, please check out that link in the description below. In front of me is our passenger side utility cabinet, and we've done our Goal Zero modification to this cabinet so that our 3000X fits nicely inside. We cut down our door, we added a custom support here in the front, trimmed the door so we still have a little bit of access for a fuse panel behind, and this thing is ready to go. So let's pop off the face and see what we've done inside. Looking inside our utility, you can see we've put in our optional divider and we cut down our support shelf. So we're still encapsulating our wheel well, but we're leaving plenty of room for our power system in front. Our first step for this install is going to be loading the cabinet in the van. Let's do it. When I'm dry fitting this cabinet in the van, I want to make sure that I'm tight against our wall and as far back into this corner as I can be. Next, I'm going to take a silver Sharpie and I'm going to go through each one of these pills and mark my unistrut behind. Now we're going to take the utility cabinet out so we can install our 3/8 strut nuts. So the cabinet's out of the way and now we can clearly see where each one of those pills lines up with our unistrut. So we can just go ahead and pop in a strut nut in each location. With our strut nuts in place, we're ready to reinstall our cabinet. Our cabinet's back in place and now we're ready to start bolting this thing in. We're going to stack our lock washer on top of our 9/16 bolt and then through our fender washer. And we can thread our first bolt in place. Now we're just going to rinse and repeat for the rest of the strut nuts. If you notice one of the strut nuts is not quite lined up perfectly with your holes, you can use just a little flathead screwdriver and pull that into position. So now this cabinet is firmly bolted in place. At this point, I would usually stop. I'd complete the rest of my utilities, make my fuse panel, do all my electrical connections, things like that, with the faceplate off. It's much easier to install all of our utilities in these cabinets with the faceplate off. We got a lot more access, it just makes everything go easier. But for the video today, we're gonna take this thing all the way to complete. We're gonna install our faceplate next. So the easiest thing to do is gonna be start with the corner. We wanna line up the top of our faceplate with the inside corner right here. So we'll get that one in place. Then we can just kind of push the cabinet into place along. We might need to push the lid up a little bit to allow a little bit of flex for that to get put nice and flush. All the way down. Looks like everything's lined up pretty well. We can start screwing this in place. When we start installing our trim screws, we use these little finish trim screws. They're a square drive. They're nice and thin so they don't split the wood, but we still want to pre-drill these. So I'm going to grab my drill. I'm going to line up the faceplate and the front edge of nice and flush, and I'm going to go ahead and pre-drill where I'm going to install that screw. I'm not going to put anything close to the corner because I'm going to use the corner for my trim screws. Since we cut out that middle support shelf inside this to allow for our Goal Zero, we're going to need to align the side of the cabinet with our faceplate. You might need to just push it out into place so you get a nice flush edge. We have all the screws in the perimeter of our utility cabinet. Now we're ready to move on to the field. So we do a little half-cut dimple here on the faceplate, and these correspond with the shelves inside. So that it just makes it really easy to align your drill and hit the shelf inside so you can screw into some good meat. As we touched on in our assembly video, the trim that we showed you how to make is now back from powder coat and we're ready to install. Remember, this isn't included in the kit, but we did show you how to make it in our last assembly video. So when installing our trim, I like to start here at the back corner. I'm going to slide this piece in between our pillar and the utility box. Then I'm going to take the main front trim. We're going to slide those two up. We're just going to make sure we get a nice place where they meet right here at the corner. And that's going to help us align both of these pieces at the same time. Then we can just put a single screw into one of them to lock it in place. Then with one corner set, we're going to skip all the field screws. We're going to jump to the other corner. Down here at the other corner, we're going to lock this front piece of trim in place. We got this front corner of our front trim locked in place. And because our wall kit doesn't come up tight to this back corner, we have a little room to slide here if we wanted to. I could trim this off so it's perfectly flush with the box. Since I have a little bit of compliance here, I'm just going to leave it long. I think it's going to be just fine. With our corners aligned, we're just going to go ahead and put screws through the rest of the field here, making sure to push that trim nice and tight onto our utility cabinet. With the top perimeter in place, I'm going to put the last two pieces of trim on these vertical corners. Our trim is in place and we're ready for the final step, installing our doors. So let's just get these lined up. With With that last door in place, this install is complete. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button so others can find it. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now might be the time. See you on the next project. Yeah, you wish that was your blooper. Ha! With that last door in place, this install is complete. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button so others can find it. Thanks, Jilly. That's big, like, burp, barf, thanks. Whoops.